Megan Fox.
And Megan Fox has the story.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media.
Eat Tucker.
That was your last.
Damn it, man. I cried for 2 days.
Megan, thank you very much for that.
So, I can explain the bed thing.
If you don't show up and vote, up your ass. I don't care if you're in the hospital. Crawl to the stake. Crawl there.
It's like Jesus going to the temple. He's like, I got a whip. Get out! Get out! The lovely and wonderful Megan Fox. Not that one.
Not that one. Not the weird one that drinks blood in his toe thumbs.
Megan Fox.
Megan. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
She's the devil.
Megan.
Megan Fox.
Megan.
Megan.
Megan Fox.
I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
You've never met a like me. You want to tangle? You want to go? Holy sh!
Too much cussing on this. I guess we didn't bleep it, so we got to turn it off. But it's.
You pissed off the wrong woman.
Oh my God! I have been assaulted, but Megan Fox runs wild on you, brother.
She's the devil.
Not for publication.
The story.
I'm Megan.
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 Megan Fox.
Thank
you. Cheers.
Hey there, everybody. It's going to be a great day. Welcome back to the show. I'm Megan Fox, medium smart journalist. I've been covering stories like this for a long time, and oh my gosh, today we have a good one for you. We have an update in the Maya Kowalski case. If you guys do not know about this case, this is going to be a fun day, by the way. The way I know this is going to be a good day is because I woke up and I started making this stream on Streamyard, and I was given notification that Streamyard is now doing dark mode. You have no idea how long I have asked them for this so that, you know, the light is not reflecting off of my face and screwing with the lights and making everything overexposed. So it is fantastic that Streamyard has come into the future with dark mode. So I knew it was going to be a good day. But then also, I felt the need to really take a break from what we have been doing lately in the What the Hales case. It's just too much. My God, you can't do it all the time. This case, the Maya Kowalski case, there has been a huge update. For those of you who are old school to this channel, then you know we covered that case. We sat every day and watched it live, and sometimes not live, but we caught up. And the Maya Kowalski case, if you're not familiar with this case, is an incredible story of medical malpractice. The biggest medical malpractice case in Florida history. Might be in the whole country. They won a $260 million judgment against Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital for medically kidnapping Maya Kowalski, a child who was at the time 9 or 10 years old, who had CRPS. She has CRPS, which is a pain syndrome that is one of the most painful things on earth, apparently. That's what they say. That's how bad it is. And instead of recognizing her symptoms and listening to her doctors, the child abuse pediatrician there, Sally Smith, decided that her mother had Munchausen syndrome by proxy. They took her from her family. They held her prisoner in the hospital for a very long time, 3 months, I think. And in that time, the juvenile court screwed around, and we did readings of those transcripts on this page as well. All you have to do is go to the Maya Kowalski playlist, and you can catch up if you are not caught up on this case. But sadly and tragically, because of the juvenile court system and the hospital conspiring together to keep this family apart, Maya Kowalski's mother, Beata Kowalski, took her own life in order for her child to be returned to her family. And return her they did. So her sacrifice actually worked. And it's such a tragic story. And they were held accountable, JHatch, to the tune of $260 million by a jury of their peers. But they are appealing. They are appealing. And now, in the middle of, as they are about to file their appeal, an amicus brief has been filed on behalf of the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association, which are both ganging up on Maya Kowalski. It's not enough that she lost her mother. It's not enough that she was held prisoner in a hospital where they didn't treat her symptoms and refused to give her pain medication. It's not enough that she went through this traumatic ordeal and that they committed medical malpractice against her. No. It's not enough. The entire medical association in America is coming out against Maya Kowalski. So we're going to read that today. And we're going to talk about it. So for those of you who are new to this channel and you came here from What the Hales, welcome. I hope you stick around today. It's going to be probably a smaller stream. You'll have more time in the chat to talk. The chat won't be flying so fast. But this is old school me. This is what we used to do here. This is what we continue to do. This is always what we do. We look at court cases that are interesting. We read the court files. And we make fun of the people who are nasty and evil in court. Like, remember this guy? Remember the face you make when you get caught telling lies? There's so many great memes to go over. Do you remember the Munchie Bunch? This case had all of these people accusing Beata Kowalski of having Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Remember these people? Remember these witches, the 7th floor coven? Remember them? I do. And I'm not finished with this case, and we're going to follow it all the way to the end. All right, let's pull up the filing. All right. Here we go. This has been filed in the Florida court in support of Johns Hopkins, which we used to call John Shopkins All Prisoners Hospital. Where's the woman who put Jesus in a bin? Oh, yeah. Who could forget Dumpster Jesus? Like, it wasn't enough that they tortured this kid. They also wouldn't even let her have her Jesus. She wasn't allowed to have a statue of Mary. She wasn't allowed to have her communion. They threw Jesus in a dumpster and the chocolate cake. Don't forget about the chocolate cake. You're not allowed to have chocolate cake or Jesus at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital when you're a sick child. Yeah. Disgusting. These people treated her in a disgusting and despicable manner. And they have the nerve. If the American Association of Pediatrics had any brains, it would denounce what JHatch did. But no. They're not going to do that. They're going to circle the damn wagons. So here we go. The American Academy of Pediatrics is the largest nonprofit professional society of pediatricians in the world. The AAP represents 67,000 primary care pediatricians, pediatric medical subspecialists, and surgical specialists who are committed to the physical, mental, and social health and well-being for all infants. Well, except Maya. Children, adolescents, and young adults. They weren't that concerned about Maya's well-being. They were more concerned about their own damn reputation and getting sued. It's just unbelievable. And it makes me very concerned that the American Academy of Pediatrics is siding with JHatch. It should make every parent concerned that they don't see anything wrong with what JHatch did. And believe me, we're going to go over some of the details of what JHatch did. I'm not going to let them get away with this. I have clips pulled. We're set and ready to go today. The Academy advances child and adolescent health through education, research, advocacy, and the provision of evidence-based policy and guidance, and occasionally a little medical kidnapping and holding children against their will, I guess. The Children's Hospital Association, CHA, is the national voice of more than 220 children's hospitals. And they have a real stake in this case going away, since they are the main perpetrators of the medical kidnappings going on in America today. We are going to have on Thursday an update in the Hernandez case. I have Jennifer Williams coming back on, and hopefully Ryan from You Are the Power to talk about the Hernandez case, which is a medical kidnapping by a children's hospital in Georgia and a child abuse pediatrician there. And the reason why this Children's Hospital Association is doing this is because they know that they are doing it all over the country, that they are kidnapping children when they should be working with parents to get complex diagnoses on medically fragile kids instead of doing this. But they don't want to do that. They want to be lazy and they want to just take kids instead. Assholes. CHA advances child health through collaboration, improvement, and advocacy. You're going to have to prove that to me, Children's Hospital, because you're not doing that. You haven't improved anything. What about CHOA? CHOA is the worst. And what are they doing to improve? CHA gives pediatric providers a shared voice to advocate for policies that allow children's hospitals and health systems to prove effective patient-first care. Yeah, patient first. One of the issues in this appeal is the scope of the immunity. It's always about immunity. They want immunity for crimes against you. The medical community. Now, someone's going to have to explain to me why the medical community deserves immunity for anything. These are not government workers. So the concept of immunity has always been wrong, in my opinion. It's completely wrong. But the concept of immunity was for government agents who are acting under their authority, who need the freedom to do their jobs, without being sued frivolously all the time. Of course, I say, if you're doing your job right, you won't be sued frivolously. And if you're doing it wrong, you deserve to be sued. But I want to know, how does this apply to medical people? How does it apply? Can you imagine giving doctors immunity, like over the pandemic? Of course, I guess they do have it. Nobody's been able to, get any revenge there. One of the issues in this appeal is the scope of the immunity provided to mandatory reporters of suspected child abuse and neglect under Section 39.203 Florida statutes, and how that immunity impacts the admissibility of evidence in a trial involving alleged child abuse. But let me ask you, why should any mandated reporter have immunity from lawsuits if they report falsely, and not just falsely, maliciously? Maybe false report can be forgiven if you made a mistake. But if you did it maliciously, like it appears these people did, to get Beata off their back because she was causing too much trouble and they wanted her out of the hospital. She was questioning them and they didn't like that. So if you remove a child using a false report that you knew was false and you did it maliciously, why should you be immune to lawsuits? You shouldn't. This issue is vitally important to AAP, CHA, and their members. Oh, I'm sure it is, because they want to do whatever they want to do without getting any repercussions. Because the proper application of the immunity provision is critical to the success of the mandatory reporting laws. An interpretation of Section 39.203 that restricts immunity in a way that is contrary to the statutory text and all of the textual and structural clues that inform the meaning of the statute adversely impacts AAP, CHA, and their members, and would result in unnecessary and costly litigation to the detriment of Chapter 39's purpose of protecting children. AAP and CHA will assist the court by providing unique information regarding the background and development of the mandatory reporting law and immunity provisions relating thereto, insight which will help the court understand why the law exists and what it is supposed to accomplish. The laws requiring healthcare providers, among others, to report suspected child abuse to the state and authorizing those providers to take in good faith certain actions consistent with protecting a child from such abuse are vital to protecting Florida's children. Given the high stakes and emotions at play in any such proceeding, the robust immunity provided to those who are mandated to report such suspected abuse is absolutely critical to accomplishing the policy established by the legislature. Yeah, they want to make sure they can take your kids without any lawsuits, without any civil liability. But they should have civil liability if they do it wrongfully and if they do it maliciously. If they do it correctly, then they don't have anything to worry about. Do they? A review of the history of the enactment of these laws and the success that they have had in protecting children establishes that the immunity provided to mandatory reporters. Hold on a second. What? Oh, sorry, my daughter needs something. And a review of the laws and the success they've had in protecting children, that the immunity provided to mandatory reporters is broad and applies not only to reporting suspected abuse, but also in taking affirmative steps to protect the child while the suspected abuse is being investigated. Yeah, but they could have done that with Maya without doing what they did to her mother. They could have kept her in the hospital, waited to see if their theory was true. And when she didn't get better, when they took her off of, the pain meds and whatever, well, then they should have had their answer. Their answer was, oh, this is not what we think. Her mother must be right. The answer is not her mother's making her sick. She never got better in the 3 months she was with them. She got worse. Any lesser immunity, such as that construed by the trial court here, adversely impacts proper implementation of the act. It is not, well, maybe the act should be rewritten. Maybe Chapter 39 sucks. It is not enough to provide immunity just for reporting. The plain text of Chapter 39 demonstrates that its purpose is much broader and protects related activities authorized by that chapter, such as sheltering, documenting abuse, and testifying in court proceedings regarding the suspected abuse. Oh, you get to do all this stuff in secret and you get immunity for it all? I don't think that violates the other party's rights. It violates the parents' rights. In 2022, state child protective services agencies identified nearly 600,000 victims of child abuse. Yeah, and guess what? Like 88% of them are unfounded. They're identifying way too many instances of abuse that isn't abuse by their own admission, and you can go look at that on the the Department of Health and Human Services website. Number 1, see Children's Bureau, Child Maltreatment 2022, available here. Yeah, HHS, but you know what they're not quoting? They're not quoting how many of those were found to be unfounded. They're just quoting that, oh, look at all these victims of child abuse. Mandatory reporting laws that require certain professionals like social workers, teachers, child care providers, healthcare professionals, and law enforcement to report suspicions of child abuse and neglect to the appropriate state agency are responsible for the identification of many of these abused children. And of course, as we know by the stories we're following on this channel, DCF and Children Protective Services often will take calls and not do anything about it. People will call over and over again to report a child being neglected, and then they just do nothing. They just do nothing. All right, footnote number 2 is just a link. For example, in 2022, 41.9% of the reports that resulted in intervention came from law enforcement and educational professionals. Healthcare professionals were responsible for the third largest percentage of interventions at 11.2%. I don't know if they should be proud of that, because they're still not telling us how many of those were actually confirmed instances of abuse. I want to know how many of those were false allegations. Cece, thanks for the 25 on Cash App. I appreciate that. That's going towards the next massage fund. The massage yesterday was good, by the way. It always is. I love Patty. Shout out to Patty, who is my masseuse. She's amazing. Cece says, for breadstick money and Archie Bunker treats. The chat's calling the dog Archie Bunker now. His name is Archie Ruckus, but that's okay. I guess he's now Archie Bunker. It's funny. Okay, moving on. Healthcare providers were particularly vital mandatory reporters during the COVID-19 pandemic when schools were closed, but the percentage of emergency department visits for child abuse increased. And that's true. That did happen. There were more cases of child abuse. Sure. Yep, that makes sense. School is often a place for kids who are in abusive situations to escape the abuse. The immunity provisions that protect mandatory reporters from criminal and civil liability for good faith reporting of suspected good faith. The key word here is good faith. If it's a good faith allegation, that makes a difference. But in this case, and I believe in the cases of the Hernandez family and the other cases that we're following, I believe that they are in bad faith. And that should make a difference to the immunity laws. Is Mo in the chat? Hey, Mo, if you want to join me, I meant to send you a link actually, but I know I didn't give you a heads up. But if you want to join me, I'll send you a link on Twitter. Hang on. Let me do that real quick. Mo in the Deep End actually has CRPS, and she followed this case very closely. Where are you, Mo? There you are. Here's a link, Mo, if you have time and you want to join me while we read this. This case is maddening for her and other people who suffer with CRPS, which is an incredibly misunderstood pain syndrome that many doctors will treat like you're just crazy. They'll say you're just crazy because they can't treat it. Sometimes doctors behave that way. When they can't treat something and they can't make it go away, suddenly it's your problem. Mo, how are you?
Hello.
I'm so glad you're here.
I need to get an adult emotional support beverage because I feel like I'm going to be pissed off.
I know. I texted Jeff this morning. I was like, Jeff, I'm going to read this amicus brief, and I have a feeling it's going to piss me off.
Mr. Mo's always so sad. He's like, are you pissed off today? Did I do it? And I just say no. And he's like, okay, then.
Have you read this yet?
No, I haven't. I had to take a step back from the Maya case. I did try to cover it while it was going on, but because it affects the parasympathetic nerve system, meaning that in times of great stress, you can actually increase your pain.
Yeah. And
it was just incredibly informative. Certain witnesses were incredibly informative, especially Dr. Chopra. I always want to say Gupta, but that is
I know, I did the same thing. So racist.
That is because CNN, not me.
I did the same thing though. I called him Dr. Gupta like 4 times. It's Dr. Chopra, and we like him a lot. He was a great witness.
But it affects 3% of the population. So there's no money in really researching this. They have maybe a vague clue about what happens, but they can't really tell you what is going on. And the only relief or the only option that's going to work for me is to basically, my family is saving up to get me ketamine infusions. And the cheapest we found here in Indiana is 3 for $1,000. And if you buy them that way, they're regularly $500 to $600 to almost $1,000 per infusion, depending on where you go. I found a place that will do 3 for $1,000, and you need, for a typical CRPS protocol, 12 treatments. Now, these are supposed to last.
And your insurance will not pay for any of this.
No, insurance doesn't cover ketamine. Now, I know that there's been some research that's been really good in showing that ketamine can be good for mental health. So there are a lot of, ketamine clinics that are opening up, but they are all self-pay.
Wow.
Um,
See, this
for
is
right
this
now.
this drives me crazy. Okay, and I know, and this is not as severe, obviously, as CRPS, but for instance, I have a neck compression problem, and it causes me some serious pain. Like I've had to go to pain clinics, had to go to physical therapy. I've had to get shots and trigger point injections and all kinds of stuff, and I'm trying to avoid surgery. Well, the string of things that helps me is regular chiropractic care, which thank God my insurance covers, but also a massage. If I could get weekly massages, I would be out of pain totally. But of course, I can't afford that because my insurance will not pay for it, not even a little. So I can afford to go once a month and that's it. And so by the end of the month, I'm back in pain again. If I could go every week, I wouldn't be in any pain. But I mean, the idea that it's just preventative care is just not covered. And that is something in in our insurance system needs to change, because it is far less expensive for them to keep us from getting sick than it is to treat us after we are there.
Yeah, but have you considered that big pharma is evil?
Oh my God, are you kidding? Are you sure? Are you sure?
It is disheartening that I was sent to 4 different pain clinics because I am apparently anatomically odd as well as personality-wise odd. So I'm not a good candidate for any of the surgeries. And yes, ketamine is the thing that Matthew Perry took. The reason
like any
that
drug,
ketamine,
you can abuse
yeah,
it and you can
the
overdose.
reason ketamine, the treatments are so expensive is that you have to be hooked up to a monitoring system because it can depress your breathing, your respirations, and make you a bit loopy. So you need to have professionals administering it. Obviously, by yourself in
being
a hot tub
monitored.
is not there.
And by the way, he had 5 to 6 different drugs in his system. And we went over that in depth on this channel and how they interacted with one another. And several of them were contraindicated with one another. So he should not have been taking what he was taking and not being, monitored then. So that does not mean ketamine is dangerous. It means it needs to be administered by doctors and you need to be monitored while you're on it. But it can help in a lot of things. It can help a lot of problems. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Mom.
absolutely. So my final pain thing was supposed to be, I swear to God, it sounded like a 3-week gulag for feelings, but they wanted me to
That's what they wanted to do to Maya. They made her go to one of those before she ended up at JHatch.
pain therapy.
She had to go to pain therapy, which was like this inpatient thing where they kept her. Yeah. And they made her do like meditation and shit. Like this girl is in pain. It's real pain. It's physical pain. And this, I know meditation is great, but you may need other things besides that to control your pain.
Yeah. What I asked is, what is art therapy going to do for me? I pretty much at home do cross stitch and listen to court trials. I figure I'm already doing art therapy.
Right.
Now, what is talking about my interesting relationship with my mother going to do besides, again, make me talk about my interesting relationship with my mother? I figured I've buried these things. I'm pretty sure my inner rage is attached to my inner child, so I don't think we want to meet her either. I would just
don't let her out, for God's sake.
She wants to go back to all the kids in middle school that were mean to me and destroy their lives. Don't let her out.
I mean, it's just awful what the options are for people in chronic pain. So
I will say that not being a stubborn horse's ass helped. I finally gotten a walker. I will be bedazzling the ever living crap out of it. And
you should do a bedazzling stream. We should bedazzle it together.
My youngest, most feral, gave me a better idea because they were talking about how if they had one of those scary people in school drills, and they decided that I would run in and Karen the person to death. Like I would call to speak to their manager. But then they also had the idea if I made a tacta-walker, like how many weapons can I attach
How many could you
to the
get
walker?
on the? Could you attach on the walker? Like guns on either side, sure. I mean, you could have triggers on either. Oh, this could be fantastic.
I know.
You could have like a gas,
mobility,
like
but
a
still
pepper
wanna stay
spray, an
strapped.
automatic pepper spray button, you know, that just like clouds everything in front of you with pepper spray from that thing. The possibilities here are endless. Your kids are hilarious.
Yes. So that being said, accepting your limitations has been something that was beyond difficult for me. And I can say this with absolutely no varnish. Maya handled this with grace and dignity and just a quiet inner strength that gave me strength to do, new things. I can't imagine, the strength and grace that she showed through all of this when I was having my 2-year pity party. I am not kidding you. She was amazing. And if she ever watches one of these, and I know she probably doesn't, but you have an entire band, including this crazy multicolored hair honey badger behind you, and we will take care of drop kids. We are not going to let this happen.
John's drop kids. That's right.
Yes.
John's drop kids. The memes were epic. We're going to share some of those again today for those of you who may have missed it. Remember this one? Oh my God. This was the moment when the devil materialized in her face. Remember? This is the woman who put Jesus in a dumpster. And while she was on the stand, she literally
look like she would, though.
She manifested a demon. This one she was a mind reader. Remember? She was mind reading her way to answers. This was the one who was keeping Maya in the art therapy jailhouse. Remember? That was her.
God.
I mean, there's so many people involved. Remember the witch's weighing trap we had here? Permission to bring in the duck, Your Honor. We need to weigh the witches against a duck.
The ones that would touch Maya to see if she was faking. Can I tell you that there are bad days where the air hurts. So imagine someone coming in and imagine you have a very deep bruise and someone just pokes at it. It is excruciating to the point where I've had to have Mr. Mo turn off the fan because the wind is too much.
But yet they made it sound like, well, if that's the truth, that even a sheet would bother her. Here's this picture of her being held by her uncle and he's touching her leg at some other time. And it's like, do you not understand? What part of good days and bad days do you not get?
I will say, I think I channeled that chick really well with my natty light shirt, my mullet, and looking a bit like like Garth from Wayne's World with boobs. I do hope I have a really cool Reddit following. Well, okay, not so cool, and they don't know where I live, but I am queen of Reddit in that outfit.
I think I actually have a clip of that there's a clip of that on, oh God, it's on Twitter. Somebody just reposted it the other day. Do you have it?
I don't have the clip, but I've seen it because
I have it. People who haven't seen this, it was like a week or two ago. I'm just going to scroll down through my profile because I redid it. I reposted it because I was like, look, for those of you who think I don't mock everyone, here it is. Like, and it's me and Mo pretending to be Sally Smith, and I forget who you were. Who were you?
I think I was like the head of DCFS.
The head of DCFS. With your Wayne's World mullet. And oh my God, this is so funny. We were talking about our exercise routines. God, I'm going to find it, Mo, because it was one of the funnier moments.
Well, I will say that was the time when my dad decided to ask me, like I had just done that stream. He's like, so what do you do on this little stream of yours? And I was like, well, yesterday I dressed up like Garth with boobs. But it was for a serious thing. And he's like, I think that'll be okay. I think I'm not going to look at your channel.
He's like, all right, I'm good.
He's like, and you actually have people that follow you? I was like, I know. The world is weird. What can I say?
I found it. I found it. I guess I did. I posted these the other day. I said, for all the idiots who think I don't make fun of everyone, First Amendment forever, ridicule is your greatest weapon. Let's watch a little of this.
And take a
Because this is me as Sally Smith and you as Megan Leaf, the DCF snake attorney. That's right, the attorney for DCF.
go.
Why do I feel like we'd make a really cool roller derby team?
I'm on roller derby. I do it every weekend, but I'm on the kids team because I like to smash into little kids and take them down.
Mo should not.
I don't like to
take
play
her
with
half
adults.
a gummy right before this.
Weird. I like to smash little kids too.
And
I can probably go
I
right
also
in his face
teach-
on there
I
before I
also-
say shit like that.
I also teach an exercise class on the weekends, and we teach it's like CrossFit, but instead of lifting weights, we lift kids and then we drop them really hard. We just lift them and drop them and lift them and drop them at John's Drop Kids.
Oh no! See, I have.
Let's go.
Why do I feel like we'd make a really cool roller?
And there's more. There's another
Yes.
one.
I think
There's
I think I nearly killed Jeff when he first saw me because I was doing a deeper voice, and I think he had to excuse himself for a second.
This was on one of our many hilarious streams. Let's see. There's another one here. God, I wish I remembered which one this came from because I really don't. But we had so
It
much
was
fun doing
dramatic
this.
reading something or other.
Oh, were we doing the transcripts of the
Yes.
juvenile court? Okay, it's one of those. I don't think we've even finished what I had. We need to finish that. We need to do this again and finish the transcripts. Look at my
Listen.
eyebrows.
If you want to come down to the clinic sometime, I can show you how to find out who's being abused and who's not. It's really simple. All you got to do
you
is look at your
breathing?
numbers you got to look at the numbers on the DCF list about how many children we need to meet our budget. And then you go to the hospital and you find that number of children and you accuse their parents of child abuse. And then you make up a bunch of shit and you put it in a report. And then the report goes to the judge. This judge who is mentally
I
deficient.
love that I'm just fluffing my
And
mullet.
he just does whatever you tell him to do. And then the federal funds are released and I get a bonus.
I mean, not for nothing, but she's not lying.
And I'm really good at my court appearances.
I can't deal with the.
As the court I'm good at the court appearances. I go and I raise my little right hand and I say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I know that I'm fucking lying, but it doesn't really matter
We laugh
because
so hard about.
This is good times, Mo. It's good times. We had a
I'm
blast.
trying to remember if I still have the mullet wig because I basically sacrificed a wig that I didn't like the colors of at all. So
I remember that. I remember that you were cutting a wig up beforehand to get ready for that. You better have it because I don't think we ever finished the second part. All right, let's get back to the this amicus
I
brief.
have other butch hairdos now. Although I think that was one of the nights Mr. Mo walked in, saw what I was wearing, and then just walked right out. I'm not even going to ask questions anymore.
So funny. Fallen Hero, thanks for the $1. Appreciate you. Jeffrey Montgomery, thanks for the 5. Says, need something to make you laugh, smile, feel better, little random gifts, etc. Search A through Z for emotional support pickle. You're welcome. Starchasm, thanks to the 2. Cash App, that was me, Megan. Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for sending that. All right, let's get back to this here. The immunity provisions that protect mandatory reporters from criminal and civil liability for good faith reporting of suspected child abuse and participation in any resulting investigation are critical to the success of mandatory reporting laws. In Florida, for example, Section 39.203 of Florida statutes immunizes good faith reporting, as well as any act authorized by the statute governing child abuse investigations. If statutory immunity for mandatory reporters is not robustly enforced, the risk of costly and time-consuming litigation, they know they're going to get sued. They're like, shit, we will be sued every day for all the shit we've done.
Yeah. But where is the legal test of good faith? Because
Yeah, that's what I wanna
I
know.
contend that this is the crux of the argument.
Me too. It's
Good
bad faith.
faith
What
would
they did was in bad faith, and it was also malicious because they knew what they were doing was bullshit.
they had a mom who probably was strident and ardent because she has been through an average of near 18 months to 4 years to get diagnosed. I was just extremely lucky, and my doctors were trying to rule out CRPS and, in fact, ruled it in. But you have a child, you know exactly what works for this child. And I do think that there was an unfortunate reality that maybe the ketamine wasn't working as well as it used to. Sometimes, you know, your body can just be wonky. So they did go up a lot. But again, imagine trying to go through a day, if you've seen the, you know, little happy face to the extremely sad face. You know, I operate on a base level 5. So I operate, imagine like having a mild migraine every day. That's just how I operate, and I've gotten used to it. So I really am, it's a hard time for me to explain. I can go from a 5 to a 10. And it's just normal pain ratings do not work with chronic pain. They just don't, because it becomes background noise. I mean, you deal with the fog and the difficulty concentrating, but it becomes something that most of us just deal with, because to not deal with it means you lose everything. You're just stuck in bed. So they had a mother who knew the medical stuff and knew that her daughter was not getting the treatment that she needed, and they were offended. Let's be real. That's all this case started out of.
And they didn't like her, and it was very clear. And they even knew that unaliving was an absolute possibility. And there's text messages to prove it. If statutory immunity I said risk of time-consuming litigation could have a negative effect on even the most conscientious mandatory reporters, I say no. No, if you were conscientious, this wouldn't have happened, and you wouldn't have been sued, and Beata would still be alive. For mandatory reporting laws to continue to protect children and adolescents from abuse, immunity clauses must be broadly enforced and immune conduct protected. The history of mandated reporting
all
laws.
those kids that die in DFCS care, are we going to worry about where's the mandatory reporters there when they're going to, you know, foster homes, back into dysfunctional families because you know, are hell bent on reunification? Where's the mandatory reporting there? Because I am so tired of getting lectured to by these a-holes who killed more children than I ever did, you know, about what is mandatory.
Exactly. Mandatory reporting laws are largely the work of one man, a pediatrician named Dr. C. Henry Kemp. And we have a footnote: Jessica Ann Toth John's Mandated Voices for the Vulnerable, an examination of the constitutionality of Missouri's mandatory child abuse reporting statute. In 1962, Dr. Kemp published a paper creating a medical profile of child abuse and called for legislation mandating that physicians report suspected abuse. Although modern mandatory reporting laws are more expansive, the first model reporting statutes were geared solely toward healthcare providers. The drafters believed that doctors were most likely to encounter injured children that had the diagnostic abilities to identify abuse. They also recognized that physicians faced unique deterrents to reporting. Many felt it was a violation of professional confidence to report a patient's family to the child welfare, and were reluctant to become involved in court proceedings. And then we have another footnote. I think they're just all, it's just all references. Providers were also deterred by a fear of civil liability should they report. A fear that that's what they should fear. That's why it should be a very serious thing for you to report child abuse. You better be damn sure that it's happening. And if you're not sure that it's happening, then you don't report it, because it is a violation of people's right to parent their children. So you just got to be damn sure. You don't report everything.
Bringing the full weight of the government into someone's family. And there are families out there that need intervention. But, you know, make me president day one. I am firing every single DCF person. I am making them all personally, interview with me. And I'm getting the people that worked out in the field. I'm getting them to create policies. I am getting them to figure things out, because it is just like retail. When corporate sends out policies that make it longer and more difficult for them to work, you know, they have no idea what's going on. We have people from ivory towers who have never seen shit in their life. Let's be real. That have, you know, done all the papers of, you know, social emotional learning and all of that, you know, finger painting with pygmies to create less pain, you know, fine.
Finger painting with pygmies.
I might have said that to the, you know,
goat yoga
therapist. The therapist, I was like, I swear to God, and if I see one of them screaming bulls, I can already tell you this is not going to work for me. And she's like, I have one. And I was like, then I think we've come to an understanding.
We understand one another then.
Those bulls are the souls of the damned being tortured, like in surround sound. I don't get how anyone can be comforted by those bulls. Like, you want the screaming of tortured cats?
I like them.
I
like it. I like it. I like the vibration of it. But then again, I have a extremely not neurotypical mind. So maybe that's why. But my raging ADD really likes the singing bulls.
My raging anxiety is like, oh, this is what a panic attack feels like if it was recorded by screaming cats. Wonderful.
I like how the chat's calling them screaming bulls. Screaming. They're singing. No, they're not screaming. They're singing. They're singing.
I'm sorry. That's a Moism.
All right. By 1967, all 50 states had mandatory reporting laws. In 1974, Congress passed the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, which required states to pass mandatory reporting laws and implement procedures for investigating child abuse to qualify for federal dollars. Pay attention, folks, because this is where a bunch of the corruption comes in. Because once you attach federal dollars to shit, you're going to have a bunch of people who want to find child abuse so they can get paid. CAPTA has been amended many times over the past 50 years to expand protections for victims of child abuse and neglect and provide funding for child welfare agencies and other programs designed to help children and families. Yeah, they were designed to help them. Whether they actually help them or not is something that we have been debating.
Just like the war on poverty. No one's poor anymore. And how's that war on drugs going?
Yes.
Any update? Have we achieved the mission?
It's exactly like that. We've not achieved the mission. And maybe we should give up and just let people care for themselves and their neighbors. Maybe that would be easier. The importance of statutory immunity to mandatory reporting laws. As the early drafters recognized, one of the barriers to physician reporting is the fear of litigation. Accordingly, all state mandatory reporting statutes have criminal and civil immunity clauses. I would love to have immunity. I think the media should have immunity. I would like the media to have immunity for reporting cases that lawyers don't like. I would like immunity from lawsuits. I think I should have immunity for using my First Amendment right to speak about a case without being threatened with lawsuits. But I don't have immunity. I have to get out here every day and say what I think and risk a lawsuit from some crazy maniac ambulance chaser because I'm just a regular person. I'm not attached to the government, so I don't get immunity. It's absolute bullshit.
Have you heard from Bruce? Is he okay? Has he dried up like a raisin because of tears shed? I mean, I'm not saying I would like to see a stream of that, but like I said, my inner child is kind of demonic.
I've not heard from him directly, but I maintain he's trying to contact me through third parties, but I don't pay any attention to those third parties. So, he's shit out of luck. I banned him from my channel, so he can't be here anymore, which is lovely.
Darn.
Which is lovely because and you should ban him from yours too because all he does is harass. It's awful.
Well,
I would love to have immunity from someone like him. I need immunity from Bruce.
Yeah. Can we get immunity from all people that annoy us? Because I have some things to say. I'm starting a stream now.
I have something to say. Immunity is particularly important for mandatory reporters because while the triggering level of suspicion differs from state to state, none require a professional to be certain that abuse is occurring before the reporting requirement kicks in. That's true. They don't have to be certain, but they do need to have good faith and have a very good idea that this is what's happening. I mean, I get you can't have proof all the time, but if you have a kid who's coming into your classroom hungry all the time and they have bruises on them, you're probably going to take I think I'm going to have to report this to somebody because that's your
Yeah.
job.
Well, and I think I have a different I have different levels of culpability. So if you are a teacher and you see those signs, then yes, absolutely. But if you are a doctor and have been taught the signs, the classic signs of CA and, SA on a child, then I feel like you should have to make some documentation. It can't be just a hunch. There is no
Right.
time where I can, hunch things out and as a YouTuber say, well, I definitely feel like so and so is doing this for this motive. I have to say this is pure speculation on my part. I am not a doctorologist. I'm not a lawyerologist. I have no idea. These are my
Lawyerologist. Look at dose reality, immunity for all. We can all do whatever we want. Yeah, let's just do that. I think that's called libertarianism, but I don't know. Don't ask me. Many
little
physicians
L.
admit that they do not report all suspected cases of child abuse and neglect. Well, and they shouldn't. They should only report the ones that there's real evidence that it's happening. You shouldn't sick the state on people if you're not sure. You should try to help that family as much as you can, though, and, have a relationship with them and see if you can hook them up with community services, maybe. Maybe they need community services. Maybe they need somebody to help them find a food pantry. Most of the time, these cases are because of poverty, and poverty is not abuse. Poverty is something that can be worked with. We have all kinds of programs for people. We have food stamps. We have, diaper exchanges. We have things that you can do to help people in those situations. And that should be done first before trying to separate families. In one study, 8% of doctors. Go ahead.
We have abdicated community help.
Yeah.
A lot of things we've turned to the government instead of going to a community. I know that,
Right.
there's a lot of things in my family that I'm trying to break generational cycles. If I had a place, a group, a community, which I do through, YouTube, but if I were just a new parent and had a small group of people that understand all the stresses of parenthood, you have the twin just devils of Instagram moms who lie about everything and make you feel terrible. And also, your own mom guilt. And just having another group of moms that say, it's okay sometimes to not, you don't always have to like your kids. Sometimes they are little jerky people. You love them all the time, but liking them is sometimes hard. And this parenting thing is the hardest thing you will ever do. You don't get an instruction manual. They just send you home with this little thing that you're supposed to
We need a lot
support
more
its neck.
empathy. We need a lot more empathy from people in power to take your children away. A lot more sympathy,
Yeah.
a lot more empathy, and a lot more help, and not so much tyrannical dictatorship. That's not helpful. And it turns parents into enemies instead of working together as a team to be like, hey, we see you need some support. We're concerned. Look, think about how different it could have been with Maya Kowalski. If they had looked at this as a community effort, right? If the doctors had tried to get together with the parents and their treating physicians and really sit down and talk and be like, okay, what's all been tried? We are concerned that the levels of ketamine are too high, and get the doctors in the room. Get Dr. The other one, not Chopra, the one who was treating her. I can't remember his name now off the top of my head.
I will say,
they never did that. They never sat
Yeah,
down and
he
had
was-
an interdisciplinary meeting with all the treating physicians.
Also, he was, I believe, connected to the only RSD foundation, which was in, I think, Fort Lauderdale, I want to say.
Yes.
I mean, he is possibly one of the penultimate people to, contact, since he is one of the, experts in this really vague
Yeah,
thing.
they just
that the
decided
only-
to call him a quack, though. They decided that he was a quack, and that was it, and they didn't want to talk to him. They literally did not even try. So
yeah,
this is not something, and they're doing it in CHOA. They're doing it at the Children's Hospital in Georgia in the Hernandez case, where the child abuse pediatricians are only consulting themselves, and they are not searching outside experts to get to the bottom of what Emma Hernandez's problem really is. And it looks like at this point is probably Ehlers-Danlos. So many of these little children who have this their parents get charged with child abuse, and it's sick. My friend Sean McMillan is trying a case in federal court about that right now. Same exact story of a girl who a hospital didn't believe had CRPS, and she has CRPS and Ehlers-Danlos, both, and didn't consult her specialist in New York, and just yanked her away from her parents. I mean, it's just horrific. I still haven't finished reading that lawsuit with Sean. This is going on. All right, let's move on. In one study, 8% of doctors said they had not reported injuries despite suspecting abuse. And in another, 30% of doctors said they had not reported suspected abuse at some point in their career. Doctors' concerns about being sued are valid, although healthcare professionals submitted only 10% of more than 2.8 million reports of suspected abuse in 1998. Physicians represent the overwhelming majority of lawsuit defendants in cases seeking damages for allegedly inappropriate reports of child abuse or neglect. Yeah, probably because they didn't do their due diligence and they didn't consult with experts and they thought they were the expert in the room. That's a problem. It is not enough.
And DCFS is immune. So who are they going to sue? The teachers' unions are going to come out for the teachers or the principals. But I'm sorry, doctors, get a union or something, or don't make charges that you can't back up.
Yeah, don't make charges you can't back up. And also, DCF is not totally immune. In Florida, they have this Chapter 39 thing where they're immune from making the report or whatever, but they are not immune for federal lawsuits under 1983 violations of due process. So they should know that. They are not immune to that, and they can be sued for it, and they have been sued successfully multiple times for violations under due process. But I mean, I think in the Chapter 39 thing in Florida really needs to be overhauled because it is too broad. It is way too broad. It is not enough for mandatory reporting statutes to include immunity clauses. Oh, they want more immunity. Look at this. Without robust enforcement of statutory immunity, mandatory reporting laws will not serve to protect children and adolescents. It will protect them from you guys, though. It is clear why immunity is so critical in order to protect children and adolescents from abuse. In 2022, 67.4% of child abuse investigations, that is, reports of child abuse that met the criteria for further examination, were closed as unsubstantiated or with a finding of no alleged maltreatment. Yes. In other words, so this is what I was saying earlier. 2/3 of the reports serious enough to warrant an investigation did not uncover substantiated abuse or maltreatment sufficient to take further action. That's a huge number. Think about that. Yeah. 67.4% of all of these allegations are unsubstantiated. That is way too high. But that does not mean...
Would you take a Tylenol bottle if, 68% of them were cyanide? No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't. And should you be able to keep your job if you get it wrong 67% of the time? Like literally, you're taking kids away from parents falsely 67% of the time. But you get to keep
Congress, that would be a high note if they only got things wrong 68% of the time. But no, we are allowing people to unleash the great power of the government with unlimited resources against a family. And as a person who has been there in the in her own living room on her heating mat, having a full body spasms as I'm trying to talk to a CPS person because of a malicious report, I can tell you that there is nothing scarier than some disinterested man with birthing hips coming into your house and, saying, we need you to take this test, that test, and we need to, talk about some things. I mean, it is terrifying. Your world shrinks down and you are wondering if you are still going to have a family at the end of this.
Yeah, it's not good. In other words, 2/3 of that does not mean that the reporter's suspicions were not valid or the report was not warranted. Yeah, it kind of does, though. Yes, it does.
This is not therapy. Your truth doesn't matter.
To the contrary, they were legally mandated and necessary to allow a full investigation to take place. Think about what they're saying here. They think it's perfectly fine to investigate innocent people with the power of the state just on their hunch. That's absurd. And this should not be allowed. If healthcare providers can be held liable for damages stemming from a good faith and appropriate report of suspected child abuse, the consequences could be devastating. Oh, what? What are the consequences? That the federal funds get cut in half because you stop taking kids from innocent people? That's the devastating consequences that you're talking about. Because it isn't like DCF is catching every other instance of abuse. They're not out there saving kids. Kids are dying under their care. Kids don't have homes under their care. They are living in offices of caseworkers under their care. They are losing 1,000 kids in Missouri to group homes. They lose track of them. They don't know where they are. 60% of kids in foster care end up in sex trafficking, according to our own State Department. So what the hell is DCF doing exactly? Don't tell me that they're doing their job. Don't tell me that they're doing appropriate things. AJ Frund is dead because DCF was criminally negligent, and now they're in jail because of it. It is going on all over the country.
The Dylan Groves case, where the social worker would come in and not undress the baby, so she didn't realize that he had both arms broken, rib fractures, things like that. I mean, it is absolutely maddening that this organization that is completely it is not fit for purpose. Let's be real. It's really not fit for purpose.
Look, Sean McMillan has those fantastic CPS depositions. One of them, I will never forget this. This blonde Karen monster took a kid away from a family because his father or grandfather, I can't remember which one, was challenging him to do push-ups. A 4-year-old. She thought that he was using push-ups as punishment or, whatever. But he's like a military guy. He's like, oh, well, you didn't do that chore, so drop and give me 10. Like what? That push-ups. Look, it is my contention that if you made your kids do push-ups every time they didn't listen to you, we'd have a much healthier society, and childhood obesity wouldn't be a thing. And that's not even corporal punishment. It's healthy exercise they make you do in school. You have to do it if you have to do it in gym class, it's not abuse.
That rope thing, I'm going to say abuse.
That's
because I could never get up.
Really.
I could.
How about the rope? How about the rope burns on the way down? Oh my God.
Well, having never been coordinated, I was just like, can I pass on this? Like, can I be a conscientious objector in gym class? Like, you don't want to deal with my injuries. I don't want to cause you to drink. Could we come to an agreement where I just sit and read a book?
Oh my God. Okay. Listen, we have been sitting here for an hour, and something that people have been complaining about that we have not done here is actually do our exercise, because exercise is good for us. So we're going to take a minute and 22 seconds.
Okay.
We're going to do some squats, and we're going to come back and we're going to finish this stream. It's a good time to take a comfort break, Mo. If you should need one, the court is allowing you to do that at this point, and we will be right back.
Sounds good.
You impose fatness on you. You did it by going, oh, I want the butter on the popcorn. Oh, I want the butter on the ice cream. Oh, I want the butter on the sandwich. Oh, I want the butter on the salad. Stop eating butter.
Can you just get up, walk 1 mile?
Do squat!
Walk farther. And if you can't walk, crawl, roll, get dragged by a goddamn forklift. Whatever is wrong with you, just move. Ever. Get off the chair. Get off the couch. No one is coming to service you while you sink into that furniture, while you become one with the pleather your poor ass got on that Walmart couch. Can you try not floating into sadness? Stop eating, stop drinking, start walking, start doing anything that you haven't been doing, you fat piece of shit.
Okay, I do have a question for those around in the 80s when the unitard, the leggings, and apparently underwear. How the hell did you guys, were there physical fights to get into the restroom? I mean, because I've had 6 children, so it does not a strong bladder make. But all I am thinking is I would be there with some effing scissors. And because y'all, no way. No, not going to do it. You're muted.
Whoops. We weren't wearing the leotards to the grocery store or anything. It was just for the Jane Fonda workout tapes at home, And if you wore those too long, you were going to have problems, in the nether regions because of the no breathing, all that lycra. Not a good idea.
Okay. But I mean, I have never done a harder workout than trying to get a sweaty sports bra off. So I'm only imagining extra 87 layers. I just myself, let's be real.
I do miss the leg warmers though. Leg warmers were great. And I
wear
feel like
those because I can't tolerate socks. So I still have to wear my holy roller skirts, which if you're in the market for a, modest workout, with shorts under them, because thigh gap will never be a thing in my genetic legacy ever. Mod Sportswear actually has some really good skirts. They're made like not sweatpants, but like track pants. So they're actually a really nice material. And they do, in case you want to do something immodest like bike or, show your ankles, they do button up in the middle in case you're going to do squats and you don't want to show, knee. It is so
all
funny.
right, folks, there are 730 of you right here right now. I sure appreciate that you are here for this. Thank you for being here. Make sure you hit that like button because we're only at 449 likes with 730 of you here. I think you can do better than that. And if you have the ability to support the content on the stream, make sure you remember to send super chat, Rumble rants. Hey, Rumble, I see you over there. I've got the chat open. Cash App, Venmo, I accept them all, and I appreciate your support. And again, if you cannot support the show with monetarily, make sure that you just hit the like and the subscribe. We are getting really close to 50,000 subscribers, and when I do, we're going to have a fun celebration stream with all our friends that is going to be a Scream. Ooh. I have to think about what we'll actually do, but it's going to be something super fun. Don't worry. It's going to be great. Let's see. Where are we at right now? I am at 48,517. So we are getting so close. So if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button.
And make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube likes to think for you and you will find yourself unsubscribed to people. It's amazing.
It is. People tell me all the time, they're like, I went and checked and I was unsubscribed. Yeah, they say you're a bot and they just whoop, they unsubscribe you. Vices Raid, welcome Legal Vices to the chat. I appreciate you. We are going over the amicus brief that was filed in the Maya Kowalski case by the American medical community against Maya Kowalski and for JHatch. It's incredible. John's Drop Kids is getting all this support from the Children's Hospitals of America and also the American Pediatrics Academy, which is
someone could make a meme
disgusting.
With Buddy Christ right by like dropping a kid in front of the hospital. That would make my day.
I think we have one like that. I feel like I've seen that. We had so many, and I don't have them all uploaded on StreamYard. We had so many memes that we had to make a Dropbox full of them. And it's somewhere, if I can find the link, I will maybe pull them up again because we had so many. Remember this guy? Remember this doctor? He looked like Jafar. We called him Jafar. He was seriously bizarre and weird. And this was one of my favorite moments in the whole trial when Dr. Corcoran was just dropping nuclear bombs on JHatch while he was drinking out of a Stanley mug. It was fantastic.
Yeah, is that a My Little Pony on the mug? Or I'm guessing maybe it's a Broncos. But
I don't know.
I'm hoping it's a My Little Pony now. It is in my head canon.
This is one of my favorite memes that was made. That's so true. It's so true. And if Johns Hopkins was a boat, a sinking boat. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with this case. Boat Daddy was there. It was a whole thing. If you've missed it, if you did not follow the trial and you're looking for a playlist that will entertain and enrage you at the same time, please go and watch the Maya Kowalski trial coverage on my channel. It was epic. It was totally epic. And it's not over. It's not over. We're going to continue.
They're still fighting an appeal. They are trying to, discredit her, Coffin Dingleberry.
There's a sanctions motion coming up that Greg Anderson's going to be fighting coming up soon. They're fighting against, they're fighting for sanctions for John's Shopkins, Drop Kids, whichever, for them not disclosing that report. The one that was to shut down the hospital because they were in violation of so many safety rules.
Well, I mean, who among us hasn't put a bunch of oxygen tanks together with like a flame and just, figured they're not
Improperly storing,
chemistrologists.
surgeons not washing their hands, improperly storing oxygen tanks, not cleaning things properly. Like, it was disgusting. And they got caught and they lied and they kept it away from their own expert and they got stuck. So that's going to be a sanctions hearing coming up soon. And I hear
would
that
hope so.
I hear that J Hatch also has filed a bar complaint against Greg Anderson and others at his firm. So they're fighting that. And it's very ugly and very personal. And we're gonna follow it. So let's move on. We're almost done here. We've got a couple more pages. If healthcare providers can be held liable for damages stemming from a good faith and appropriate report, which of course are the key words here, because what if it's not a good faith or appropriate report? They keep saying good faith and appropriate, but in this case, there was nothing good faith or appropriate about any of it.
Well, and why are the consequences to the doctors more important than the destruction and, grief and terror that is felt by the family? I mean,
they lost their mother. They lost a wife and a mother, and they were held legally responsible by a jury of their peers for this. And yet we have the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital of America coming out against the victim in this. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. This is so disgusting. It's despicable. Removing a child from a parent's custody is disruptive and traumatic. Well, thanks for pointing that out to both parent and child. But it can also be life-saving. Yeah, but it can also make someone take their own life, which is what happened in this case. So why the hell are you putting this into this case? This is the wrong case for them to be making this argument, because anybody who followed it is going to be like, you think what they did was right? Are you kidding? They tortured a kid. They made somebody off themselves.
This is not the case to do this. This is absolutely optically terrible, because a layperson is going to see a bunch of doctors just wanting to cover their asses and continue the same behavior that got us to this case to begin with. It doesn't look like anything has been changed in, operating procedures or backups or safeguards or anything. They just
want to get out of all of that.
Usual.
They want to pretend like they didn't do anything wrong. They refuse to admit any liability, none. They will not deal. They went to that settlement conference and basically just said, fuck you. And everyone walked out. They're not going to deal at all. And they were told, make a deal. If you want, instead of appealing, just make a deal. They should have said, okay, we'll give you $100 million. Let's call it a day and move on. But they're fighting in tooth and nail so that this girl is they're continuing their torture of Maya Kowalski and her family. They just can't let it go.
No. And how much different would I feel about J Hatch and the doctors and DCF if they had the humility to step in and say, look, we honestly thought, okay, well, until you add the, text between each other.
Yeah.
But we sort of thought that we had something here and we went too far, but it was with good intentions, although the road to hell is also paved with those. So here's 10 mil,
Well, that wouldn't have even covered the legal fees. They need to have given them a way more than that. I think they probably would have settled for $100 million, but now I think they're going to end up having to pay the full amount plus the interest, because I don't think they're going to win this appeal. All right.
Here's the thing.
I can't even get 2 sentences without having a breakdown. It's not you, it's me. I keep on interrupting myself, and there's going to be all kinds of comments about it. Would you get back to the document? Would you just read the document? There have been so many complainers on my channel all of a sudden. I don't know if they're like trolls who are just doing it to annoy me. But look at this. I posted this on this is funny.
I love reading your hate posts.
My hate posts.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, so I posted a bunch of comments that some of you have been leaving on my channel about my ADD. And I think it's really inappropriate for you to be, commenting on someone who's neurodivergent in the first place. But here we go. Too slow, the caped gremlin says. Too slow. I'm out of here. Again. LOL. So that means you came back. You hated it the first time, but you came back again for another dose.
Masochism sounds like a you problem. In fact, that's kind of in the term. It's you hurting yourself.
He says, but keep it up. I'm sure others will watch for nearly 2 hours or just less.
Oh, for the love of giblets.
I mean, how fast am I supposed to read a 24-page document exactly? And
you have to interact with chat.
This is not Speechify. This is what Coasty Castaway says. Am I the only one who gets frustrated with all the craziness while reading it? I just want to hear it read. I said, there's an app for that. It's called Speechify, and nothing is stopping you from going to Pacer, buying the documents, and uploading them to Speechify or reading them yourself. This is a commentary channel. If you don't like commentary, you're in the wrong place. Thank you for your opinion, and have a nice day.
Aww.
I like this one. When you see something you might be interested in, you check it out. And then you see a fool like you on it, and I give my opinion and block you. Okay. You seem nice.
I love that you live rent-free in people's heads.
Patriot Mrs. Joshua says, way too many interruptions to continue to watch this channel. Have a wonderful life, I said. Let the door way out.
Yeah, I only put positive comments. It confuses me. I get it. People are allowed. I put myself out on the internet. I'm a deeply unserious person, except when I get rage-filled for justice.
Right.
But, call me whatever, but I've never in my life stopped to say, you suck out loud. I hope you stop streaming. You are terrible. It's just never occurred to me to waste time to do that.
No. Oh, you're right, Slidey Pie. I should have signed it all the best. All the best. Which is what we do now when we want to say, go fuck yourself. It's just all the best. All right. I'm going to try and get through at least a paragraph before I go off on another rant. Are you ready? I think I can do it. The stakes are extraordinarily high. It is precisely because of the gravity of the accusation of child abuse the mandatory reporting laws are necessary. It is also why mandatory reporting of suspected abuse as well as related activities, including sheltering, documenting signs of abuse, and testifying in related court proceedings must be thoroughly immunized. Investigating abuse and removing children from abusive homes saves lives. In the interest of abused and neglected children throughout the United States, hospitals and healthcare providers must be reassured that they're fulfilling their critical obligation will not give rise to liability. Conclusion, mandatory reporting laws protect children. In order for mandatory reporting to be effective, statutory immunity clauses must be broadly construed and robustly protected. Hey, you know what? Here's the other problem I have with this, Christine Davis. Why are you petitioning the court for a new law or for better laws? Like, the judge cannot legislate from the bench. If you have a problem with the immunity law in Florida, well, then you should be petitioning the lawmakers in Florida and not inserting yourself in this case.
There's this really cool thing. It's a song from Schoolhouse Rock, and it's called I'm Just a Bill, and it will really explain the entire process. You will also learn about conjunction junction and what's your function. And I feel like this would be a great thing for you to look at. Because I
feel that way too.
Also, a jury of your peers judged you as not having good faith intentions. Now, if you are, all these doctors who have their panties in a wad, then I suggest that you start using good faith, intentions. I say you be able to back things up. This is, it should not be a barrier to you doing your job because you're supposed to already be doing these things. If you are worried about getting sued, well, then maybe make sure that what you're doing is correct.
Right. Okay. So I've got a clip to pull up to remind us what it was that the American Academy of Pediatric trained doctors actually did in this case. So I have some clips. That's the wrong page. Megan, what are you doing? Don't share that. That's not the YouTube studio. There it is. I have some clips from Dr. Newberger's testimony. Now, if you recall, Dr. Eli Neuberger is an expert in the field of pediatrics and also one of the founders of child abuse, not child abuse pediatrics necessarily, but he is a child abuse specialist. This is Greg Anderson, Maya Kowalski's attorney, on the stand reading from the deposition of Eli Neuberger, who was not able to make it to the trial because he was in the hospital at the time. We're going to have one clip of Anderson reading what Neuberger said in a deposition, and then go straight to Neuberger, his videoed deposition, because he had one that wasn't videoed and one that was. So this is Anderson saying what, in Neuberger's words, how he saw this hospital behave. And by the way, again, remember, these are all members of the American Academy of Pediatrics, and they work in children's hospitals.
Can we just comment on the absolute hate lasers that this man has on the hospital? Because I endeavor to have this resting bitch half moon. I mean, one day my kids will have no more wire hangers. It's just going to happen.
I know Greg's faces throughout all of this are great. I loved watching him in this trial. All right, let's hear what Dr. Neuberger said about Jay Hatch's doctors. Wait, this was right when they interrupted him because he was getting too it was getting too real. Hold on. What am I at am I at the wrong one? 642 is where I'm supposed to be. Where is 642? 642. It's hard in these super long streams.
Actually, it's something that just occurred to me within the last few weeks that this.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're starting at 5:10. God dang it. I got my timestamps wrong. Sorry. This is a professional show. Professional.
It really is. We're semi-professional. Once we get a team to do stuff for us, we'll be professional.
So right before this little sidebar, he had been reading from the deposition. And Jeff is yelling at me for not reading super chats. I didn't even see them come in. I'm so sorry. Duncan, Idaho, thanks for the 2. Hi from Jeff. Rogue Mama, member for 8 months. I actually miss Shapiro Esquire thanks to Bubbles. I miss him too, Rogue Mama. I miss his sultry voice and his palpable comments and commentary on this case. And I miss Fat Clark Kent. Legal Vices, thanks for the squiggly money from not North Korea, South Korea. I have to dust off my J Hatch case terminology. FYI, the Titans stored their high-pressure oxygen tanks directly next to the unshielded, uncovered batteries. So, it's like a catching disease that runs around with people with oxygen tanks, I guess.
Stupid is contagious. Who knew?
Stupid is contagious. Duncan, Idaho, thanks for the 5, says, that's a nice lawyerly strategy for a brief. Give idealized if-then statements, but never establish that anything meets the if criteria. Yeah. Agreed. Duncan, Idaho, thanks for the 5. People are here for your commentary, or they can go download and squint at the PDF document themselves. Exactly. I'm not just reading stuff to you. Like I do.
We're
have
giving
opinions.
you a gift.
I have opinions on things, people. I even have a mug that talks about my good opinions. It says, sorry for having great tits and correct opinions on everything. You can pick that up in the merch store if you would like
you
to.
too have a rack of justice. That's what I've decided to call mine.
The rack of justice. Not too unlike the tuft of justice, which is on the bench right now, Judge Carroll. It's a distinguishing feature. It's a distinguishing feature, you know. Ellie Fan, thanks for the 5. Call the whiners a wambulance. Yes, they need one. Duncan, Idaho, thanks for the 5. All right, I've had enough. I come here for Megan Fox's commentary, and she keeps interrupting her commentary by reading these documents. This sucks. I love you all. All right, so right before this little sidebar, Anderson was reading from the deposition, which they had already agreed to read from. And he got objected to. They had to have an objection at the sidebar. And I'm sure they were probably like, this testimony is too damning. We can't have this testimony. And the judge was like, well, too bad, because you already agreed to it. So we're reading it into the record. And here we go again. And so he got to read the thing again. So here he is, uninterrupted, reading this part that J Hatch did not want you to hear. And they tried to get the jury not to hear it.
Yeah, why don't you go back to what line? Page 106, line 20, if you could start there. Where your answer begins. Sure.
Sure. Okay. Sure, I'll try. First, and these are within the bounds of medical and scientific certainty. 2, that her medical approach to this case diverged from the accepted standard of the hospital treating physicians, conducting an appropriate differential diagnosis in which all alternatives are seriously considered and honestly represented.
Okay.
3, that her practice with regard to this child violated the standard of care that had to do with careful and sympathetic attention to a child's presenting complaints, past medical history, and current hospital course with regard to pain, distress, ruptured family relationships, and her request for analgesic medication, where Dr. Smith, with cruelty, with opacity of sympathy, and with a propensity to blame not only the mother as a perpetrator, but the child as a willing and intentional collaborator.
Does that sound like a good faith allegation to any of you? With cruelty, without consideration for any sympathy. When this child asked you for pain medication, not only did you not give it to her, not only did you deviate from your standard of care, but you accused her of being in collaboration with her mother in trying to fool the medical community. It's disgusting. Sorry, I can't even get through Anderson without.
It was painted in the worst light. Again, regardless of what side you are on politically, I think we can all, see that the media shades things. And this was the absolute worst shading that you could have put on this situation. Yes, Miss Kowalski was probably strident. She probably did say, as a full-on honey badger mom, when your kid is in pain, I know what is going on if you will just listen to me. I have medical training. I can give you, all of the things she had written down in a notebook because she knows how incredibly complex this is. This is not like someone who was just like, well, I saw once on Dr. Phil and the doctors that, this is how you're supposed to do this. It is absolutely the worst faith interpretation of this entire, situation that could be. And it was done out of spite and out of
spite.
They didn't like that a strong, knowledgeable, medically knowledgeable, again, so not going to put a doctor on a pedestal, going to fight back, going to advocate for her daughter. I mean,
these bitches right here, these bitches right here conspired against a woman that they did not like. She was a troublemaker. They wanted her out of their business. They didn't like being told what to do. They're smarter than everybody in the room, and they didn't want Beata Kowalski involved. They all knew better than her, and they didn't like her. And this one, the emergency room doctor who's directly underneath Kathy, what's her name, in the purple, in the middle, the black square, right underneath her on the left there, that woman, she's the emergency room doctor. She started all of this shit. And she started it because, and she even in her own testimony, Beata was unruly. Beata was hard to deal with. Well, so what? You've got a panicked mother of a child in desperate pain. And if you don't have the bedside manner to try to work with her and calm her down, then you shouldn't be a doctor in an ER, in an emergency room, where the very title of the place is emergency, which means people are going to be in panic and fear. You don't have the chops to work there, ma'am. All of these witches of the 7th floor coven, I can't even. She lied. They all lied. And they were caught. All right, let's continue listening to Anderson. This is Anderson giving Eli Neuberger, Dr. Neuberger's testimony about what he saw happen here after he looked at the records and reviewed everything that these people did.
Rather than to understand the child as a suffering individual supported by loving and caring persons. Is that bottom in or no? 20.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Good sound.
All right. And then the next question on 108, line 9, as to what you believe the deviations from the standard of care were.
Answer yes, correct.
Okay.
A second, with regard to the 2 Hippocratic ethical canons, principally.
Watch him look at the jury.
To do no harm.
I have to see that again. He looks at the jury and then he loses his place because he just wanted to make sure they were paying attention. The Hippocratic Oath. Remember the one? To do no harm.
Canons.
Yeah.
Principally. First of all, to do no harm.
It was a good look to the jury. Unfortunately, he lost his place.
Principally.
Hey,
first
you
of all,
know,
to do
we're
no
making
harm.
a moment here.
Right.
At no point did it appear to her that her actions, her inactions, her interventions to, quote, wean the child from medication, to separate the child from life-supporting devices to enable nutrition, for example, might actually harm the child. There was none of this. There was no consideration, no capacity to, on her part, to take a critical perspective on her own work and not inflict harm.
And then
Okay, that's damning testimony. Now let's get to
Yes.
Dr. Newberger, who we're going to hear now in the recorded one, who's going to talk about a conspiracy that it gets even worse, because on further reflection, Dr. Newberger, after thinking about this case for a while, started to believe that these people were beyond just bad faith, that they engaged in a conspiracy to harm Maya Kowalski. This is very
Now-
disturbing.
And I will say before you start, I am the proud bonus mom of a daughter who just graduated medical school. She is an actual real life doctor. And she said that I asked her when I was first diagnosed and she was going through her residency, and she said, well, first she was going into pediatrics. So I kind of brought up this case. But then she was like, I touched on it. I learned about it, for like the specific classes. I don't remember what she said. It all kind of sounds like ology to me after a while.
Right.
But, she said most regular sort of doctors are not going to know what CRPS is. We're not even going to understand the presenting symptoms. That's why the RDS Foundation, I think they haven't changed it to CRPS Foundation, but they actually have printouts. I need to relaminate and print out a new one, but it gives step-by-step protocols if I should have to go to the ER, what they should use. They should not use my left side. They should use pediatric butterfly intravenous if they can. These are the bolus.
We know that Sally Smith, by her own testimony, she had no knowledge of CRPS. She used Google and YouTube to get her knowledge of CRPS, which means, this is what this means. I might as well have done it and then said, no, that's not what that kid has. Just because she's a doctor doesn't mean she can consult sources like Google and YouTube to make a diagnosis or to say that a diagnosis is wrong. That is the most unprofessional bullshit thing that she could have done. She needed to have consulted with an expert in CRPS, but she chose purposefully not to do that. She considered herself an expert just by using Google and YouTube.
And it is so hard to diagnose. There is the Budapest protocol that takes a lot of the outward kind of nebula of symptoms. I got diagnosed with a triple nuclear bone scan because I guess part of the functions and processes of CRPS is loss of bone density, and they were able to pick it up that way. But the fact is that most doctors will never see this in their practice. My physiatrist that sent me to rule out CRPS was like, I rarely see cases. It's usually all ruled out. It is, and it's devastating to get that diagnosis, to know a little bit about it and to Google it and to realize this is going to be with you for the rest of your life. I mean, I've never had a more devastating diagnosis than this. It's really, I've had to adapt a lot of what I do daily. And again, to do this to a child is just the most dumpster, corroded trash water at the bottom of a dumpster human being thing you can do to a person. And Coffin Dingleberry, I will never forgive you for going and trolling. Maya's freaking homecoming pictures. This child doesn't have to grieve and doesn't have to be in pain. You know what? Us chronic pain people can go out and have a life. Yes, we go out and we do stuff and we have good days.
But you're still in pain. You're still at like a 5. But you smile for cameras, don't you, Mo? You smile at the camera.
Yeah. And if you look at that picture, she is stiff. She is not smiling with her eyes.
Yeah. Stiff AF in that picture.
And the fact that was used against her is just the most bullshit thing for a grown-ass woman to ever do. And now you have truly proven to me that you are a Fed because you're an asshole. The end. I love you, federal government. Please don't audit me.
All right. Now, if you want to hear how bad it is, let's hear Dr. Newberger talk about how bad it was.
And abdicating personal responsibility and deferring virtually all principal diagnostic medical judgments and decision to Sally Smith. In addition to this opinion with regard to team decisions, I intend to opine that this so-called team represented a group of individuals who together agreed to commit an unlawful act and to harm other individuals. Second,
why did you not put that into your report initially?
Actually, it's something that just occurred to me within the last few weeks, that this aggregated into a much more serious concept than just the multiple references to quote unquote team decisions that you can see on the 5th page of this opinion.
All right. So he has the opinion that this is a coordinated effort to harm an individual. Now, then they tried to, and by the way, it's funny that this most powerful part of his testimony came during a cross-examination of the deposition. That was Fat Clark Kent interrogating him. And so Jay Hatch is the one in charge of the questions here, and they got completely annihilated by this man. My favorite part of this testimony is where they want to bring in the associations and the professional organizations like the American Academy of Pediatrics and try to say that, oh, you're not board certified in child pediatrics, are you? And his response to it is,
bite me? No,
his response,
that would be my response to it.
650. I think it starts at 650. Yeah, 650 approximately. This is his response to the why aren't you certified by the child abuse pediatricians field?
Care therapy is for pediatric conversion disorder without talking about anything in this case. I just want to know, generally speaking, what the standard of care for pediatric conversion disorder is.
The standard of care is to address the underpinning personal conflicts and their surround in expression of symptoms of compromised social relationships and family relationships, and typically involving dynamic psychotherapy. This was not considered here. It was not done here. There was nothing rigorous at all among the various professionals who suspected a conversion disorder, but did not conduct a rigorous assessment of it.
Okay, doctor, again, just please focus on the question that I asked.
I've given you my response.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Have you ever used ketamine to treat
I've given you my response.
Right,
we're going to get to it. They're going to ask him about the, I guess I wrote down the wrong timestamp.
Of therapy for pediatric CRPS.
For pediatric CRPS?
Yeah, not that one. We want to hear about the
cause withdrawal
symptoms. And
no, not that.
I've reviewed some records here.
Again, Dr. Newberger, the question is, what is your understanding of the discharge?
Not that.
2016.
Is he testifying?
I don't know what my problem is that I wrote down the wrong timestamps.
Is he in a humidor? I'm just imagining
my
he's got a
understanding
bunch of
is-
cigars back there.
I think that's his fabulous closet. I mean, look at this thing. Hold on. I know how I can find this
His
faster.
wife
Hold on.
made him go to the closet to do his depositions. Although if I had a closet like
No,
that,
I think
I'd
he
stay
just
there.
has this amazing closet that he probably hangs out in. He also drinks his water from a wine glass, and I mean, he's just
How is this man not
cool.
my personal hero?
I don't know, but he's just cool, and I love him, and I hope that he recovered from his hospital stay.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, we're at 6:55. He goes into, I can't believe I wrote down the wrong timestamps. I did this earlier. Here it is, 6:56. What did I write down? Oh, whatever. All right, here we go.
requires a bit of deeper explanation, which I will now give you, which I don't believe I testified to.
Which I will
previously.
now give you right
In
up
the
the
late
backside.
1990s, under the aegis of the American Academy of Pediatrics, a group of physicians, including people like myself, founders of the field, met to consider whether we should have a subspecialty in this field. And there was discussion about what this might be called and what would be the foundations with regard to clinical practice and behavioral, social, and medical science. And it was a very productive conversation among people that I knew very well over the years because I taught at their institutions and they'd read my publications, and some indeed.
Because I taught them how to be doctors. I don't know. So this is like,
I love. He's like, I was house. I'm just saying, like, I was house.
They're like, well, I created the American Academy of Pediatrics. Like I taught there. Like the American Academy of Pediatrics loved me until they didn't, because I built this shit. Now it's almost like, well, how are you qualified to talk about this, sir? And I talk about these tablets, sir. And he's like, my name is Moses, and I carried the tablets to the top of the mountain while God wrote on them. So yeah, like here we go. It gets even better.
Yeah. This would be like me going into Best Buy and saying, because you don't have an IT goatee, I in fact know more about computers. Why haven't you grown an IT goatee? Honestly, this is the only way I identify my technical support now. I just look for goatees.
Goatees.
I think I gave Brad that name, and I'm sorry.
You did, and we love it. He loves it too. He's fine.
In my in the 17-year pendency of my federally funded training program at Boston Children's Hospital, which trained some of the leaders in the field.
So I've trained the leaders of the field also.
But he's
The
not board
discussion
certified.
But he's
How
not
dare
board
him.
certified. But the best part is why he's not board certified. It's because I don't want to be board certified by you dumbasses, because you didn't do what I said. Because you're a bunch of jerks. And you didn't do what I recommended. And so I'm not going to get your shitty board certification, because I know what it means. Jack shit. It means a fuck ton of nothing.
Around what we should call this specialty, where someone to be approved by the American Board of Medical Specialties. And the consensus at the outset was we should call this child abuse pediatrics. I objected for the following reasons. That if we were to call this child abuse pediatrics, what it would result in would be a small field of people who would be assigned the task in hospitals of thumbs up or thumbs down, this is child abuse or not. And that was an overly simple technical function, and further couldn't be based on any body of science which would justify creating a new specialty with this name. Rather,
Not
I
scientific.
argue, it would be far better to call this specialty, taking cognizance of the fields of forensic psychiatry, forensic pathology, to call this forensic pediatrics, which would have as its foundation child development, family development, behavioral science as it manifests in relationships and in violence in relationships, biodynamics in regard to the transmission of various vectors and forces and flames and the like that impelled injury, which would be understood in those frames. But where the objective, as the other forensic medical specialties would be, to inform decision makers in the legal sector with authoritative opinions about the science that was important to their decision making. Anyway, I made this point. There was some consideration, but the consensus was to call it child abuse pediatrics. And ultimately,
So those assholes didn't listen to me, and they didn't do. They decided not to do a multidisciplinary approach to this, and they decided to just be lazy pieces of shit and thumbs up and thumbs down what is and isn't child abuse, and make themselves the authorities instead of taking into consideration, instead of having to have a. See, the reason why they said no to his approach is hardly anybody would be able to qualify to be this specialty, because you would have to be, like he said, forensic psychology, forensic psychiatry, family dynamics. You would have to have all of these things, these interdisciplinary specialties to combine into this one thing, this forensic pediatrics. They're too lazy for that. They want to make easy money. They want to be a specialist in a field where you don't really have to have any qualifications. You can take some bullshit 8-hour CLE course and become a child abuse pediatrician with no specialty whatsoever, with no actual specialty whatsoever.
No, and if anyone with family dynamics or any sort of psychiatry, so any sort of forensics, they should have interviewed Maya. They should have forensically interviewed if they really thought that this was a victim of Munchausen by proxy. You cannot just have a social worker in there. These are there. You need to have a trained, forensic psychiatry person in there to do a real investigation. Not to mention, this could have been a board situation where every hospital, let's say with a large enough population or patient care load, would have a board made up of these, interdisciplinary people that could look at this stuff. But no, instead of doing a comprehensive thing that could have saved children, we decided to give it a good name and pretend we did a job.
And pretend we did something. Yeah. And put a bunch of people who were power hungry and not very smart. They're the lower IQ folks in charge of this, because they didn't have to go through all these multidisciplinary trainings in order to become a child abuse pediatrician. They got to basically take, I'm not kidding, like a 2-day course to become a child abuse pediatrician instead of having to do years of service in these different disciplines like this man did. Dr. Newberger, by the way, has those specialties that he's talking about. And he created child abuse pediatrics, not the kind that exists now, but that when they started talking about this in the 70s, he was at the forefront of it in treating children, treating families as a whole who were suffering with child abuse problems. This is someone who has deeply studied this issue, and he wanted the specialty to also deeply study the issue and not just look at it from a myopic point of view. But they didn't want that. I like this part where he tells them to go fuck themselves.
The board had an exam and a certification process, and I decided, as one of the founders of the field, that I would not take this exam.
Okay.
He's trying to stop him.
Apply to the peer reference group, the Ray Helfer Society, to be an emeritus member, and they happily accepted me.
He was like, I left that bullshit exam and I went over and became an emeritus member at a real organization because
he's like, I quit your club and became president of another one. Screw you all. I'm going home.
I was a founder of the field, and I walked away from their interpretation of my field because it was so bad. And much like Elon Musk to the media,
go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
He's a founding member of he's a founding father of the field. This is like telling Thomas Jefferson that he doesn't understand what the Constitution means.
Megan, I'm just asking for a friend because Google, and we all have these mini computers with magic on them. Mm-hmm. What were his accreditations? Was his CV online when they were asking these questions? Because you'd think you'd maybe know these things.
Yeah, like
I am a lovely combination of 2 type A to function and ADHD. So my biggest fear is looking like an a-hole, in public. Yeah. I mean, not my choice, but more like intelligence deficit. So if I'm going in to depose this man, I know that he's the father of this science. Maybe I'm not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Now, I don't know what other lawyers, real legal, lawful law lawyers or third-party interveners would do, but this seems like a trap of your own making. Gosh, darn.
Yeah, I mean, and there is a lot on him in the public record. it's easy to find his background. So they should have known, but it does feel like this line of questioning, they didn't know. And they surely regretted asking him this, because you can hear fat Clark Kent going, oh, okay. We don't want to hear anymore.
And he's like, no, I have more words.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm still talking. And I think this is the end of it, but it's funny because you can tell Clark Kent wants to get off the subject like immediately.
And I've been an emeritus member ever since. I pay my dues every year.
Okay, thank you, doctor. You're not a pediatric critical care physician, are you?
No.
What does
You don't
that
have
have to do with
board
jack shit?
certification
You don't have board
pediatric critical care
certification.
medicine?
He just told you why. He just told you why, though. He was like, well, that board certification is garbage. So that's why I didn't take the
You're not a
test.
pediatric anesthesiologist.
What?
So then he just tries to change the topic into, well, you're not all these other things. But so I just wanted to bring that back up because you guys, this case is open and shut what they did. It is not arguable. And already a jury has found them liable. A jury has found them to have practiced medical malpractice, to have maliciously done what they did. And they have held them liable for Maya Kowalski not being here on earth with us anymore. And they should pay for what they did. And Maya Kowalski, by the way, still hasn't seen a dime of what they owe her, because they are fighting this in court. They are going to appeal it all the way to the Supreme Court if they can. That's how vindictive J Hatch has behaved. So I'm going to keep following this case.
Yeah, and not only that, but she's going to have to do performative pain. She is going to have trolls. She is going to have J Hatch supporters. Like, these are the best nurses I've ever had. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you're okay with losing an eyeball or getting exploded by oxygen tanks, and I'm not.
Right.
But she is now going to have people like Coffin Dingleberry and other people following her Instagram, making sure that she is performing her pain. Not only that, but she was denied, anything beyond Tylenol and, vitamin D for her pain for years. So I imagine that she is now terrified anytime she wants to go get actual pain relief. Is this going she probably waited till the day she turned 18, then got more ketamine infusions, because that's what I would have done.
Yeah, she was barred from getting any more ketamine therapy until she turned 18, which is crazy. I mean, it was proven it was the only thing that ever helped her get any relief from her pain. And yeah, you're right. People are always watching her and people are always commenting on, oh, well, look at her. She's out having a good time. As if people who live with chronic conditions can never be out and smiling and happy just because they learn to live with pain. People who live in chronic pain would fool you. You would not know how much pain they're in just by seeing pictures of them on Facebook or whatever. And so because of it, she can't live her life like everybody else does. And she still hasn't gotten one bit of relief from J Hatch for all the medical bills. They nearly bankrupted her father through all the legal fights that he had to do. This is disgusting. And we're not going to stop covering this as it goes on. We're not going to stop covering this case. I am going to bring you the updates as I get them. Mo, thank you so much for being here today.
You are welcome.
Quits tonight. I will be doing Tuesday with Tug. Tuesday with Tug is tonight, which is my new icon. Do you like
it?
Do you like my new sticker?
Are you trying to seduce me, Miss Robinson?
Tuesday with Tug is coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be going over new filings in the Jeremy Hales federal case. There are two motions we're going to read. One is the demand for deposing Jeremy Hales by Lynette Preston's side, and the second will be the response to the demand for deposition, which includes a lot of emails from Bruce to Jeremy's lawyer.
One question. Can Jeremy do this? I can't hear you. My anxiety is over the roof. I'm just texting my friend for evidence. No worries.
Oh God.
I mean, I'm just asking if we're allowed, if he's allowed to do that, because I would totally.
I'm sure he will not be.
99.
I'm sure he will not be allowed to do that. No, Jeremy's not allowed to do anything that Preston and her crew do. So we'll be talking about that at 8 p.m. Mo, what do you have coming up?
At 7, I have Nightly Newsy News, where I go over all of the WTF and some current and hard-hitting news. I try to avoid politics, though I will be covering the probably imminent territorial conflict that is going to be happening in the Middle East. And that is just because this affects a lot of service members. I have service members in my family, and when these things pop off, it's always our families that get tied up in it, and not, the senators or the people that are constantly going to everywhere to try to drum up this crap. No, it's us real people that have real loved ones that may get sent over to fight for something that a lot of us are not sure we even want to go and be a part of. But it has real life consequences. So normally I don't cover that. I also cover, NASA finding weird stuff and other things. So there's generally a lot of shenanigans, but it's about an hour long. I go through the day's newsy news and get you caught up and show you how much I don't know about sports ball, because I thought Pete Rose was,
we need to do a sports ball stream sometime, Mo, where I like to do a yearly sports ball, who wears the best uniforms and which pants are the sexiest stream. That's my favorite sports ball topic, is which uniform makes the backsides of the athletes look the best.
Very important. Also, public service announcement. If you got sucked into rhythmic gymnastics and you decided that you too could be graceful, I have a hula hoop stuck in a shrub about 10 feet up in my backyard. I would go with a little ribbon thing if you're attempting to do any sort of rhythmic gymnastics with your weird crippled self. I have a cripple pass. I'm allowed to say it.
Wonderful. All right. Well, everybody go subscribe to Mo in the Deep End. Don't forget to do that. I'm going to hit these last 3 super chats and then we are out of here. Cages, thanks for the 5. Supporting you and your commentary is the only way I have to support these poor people. You do God's work and I support it all. Tugs, tips, unite. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Rogue Mama, thanks for the 2. ADHD, please play Thug Judge clip. Thug Judge clip? Oh, right. The one that I played last night. We played last night on Tugs stream. That one was hysterical. Okay, I'll pull it up. I retweeted it. I
love
do that
Tuft
for
of
you.
Justice. And Sarah Boone has eyebrows of justice. He looks exactly like if Ted Cruz and DeSantis had a love child with no woman involved. That is what the judge looks like. It is very interesting.
In the Young Thug trial?
No, in Sarah Boone.
Oh, I don't know the judge in that. I haven't been paying attention to that one. All right, here we go. This is the clip that has been requested. This is when the judge, it's bad when the judge has to leave the room because she can't even.
Mistrial was appropriate. I'm asking.
I can't figure out what it is. If it's disingenuous, if it is that, I don't want to.
Does this woman have a neutral suit? Asking for a friend.
Malign.
She was dressed up as Pepto-Bismol, now a lemon head.
They did this at the Democrat National Convention. Every single female was in a screaming loud pantsuit. And I guess that's what we're doing in 2024. I guess they were all shades of Pepto-Bismol and highlighter markers. I don't know why. One of them looked like the Joker.
Moon Spring collection. I mean, what the hell is going on here?
I don't know, but I'm not a fan.
The prosecutor standing in front of me right now, so I'm not going to say the possible things that it could be, but it is baffling to me.
Oh, okay, did you freeze? Am I here all alone? Am I in charge? Okay, did I freeze or did Megan freeze? Oh, good. Oh, well, this is good. I've just derailed the entire I'm in charge now. Well, you guys, when I look at this case, I will say that Maya Kowalski has presented herself, and the entire Kowalski family has presented themselves with such grace and strength and just absolutely better than I ever have. I mean, again, you guys, I decided to buy all the Sailor Moon things, and I am retaining some Mike and Ikes. I will say 15 pounds of Mike and Ikes are done, but I come for 8 to, save my soul. I don't know. It was just a thing. But this is really a life-altering diagnosis. And what is amazing is that this young girl was able to inspire me to get my cranial rectitis under control. Now, if you've never been to a Mo show, cranial rectitis is when you've got your cranium directly stuck up your colon and you have to pull it out. Now, Jay Hatch has it to the point where they're just going to have to pull a full Lemmy Winks and go right out the mouth. Their heads are so far up their colons. But
sorry about that, folks.
No, that's okay. I was like, what did I touch? I
No,
love
it wasn't
that I have
you.
enough
Sometimes,
recovery.
every once in a while, I get this horrible noise in my ears, and my entire system freezes. And I've never been able to figure out what it is. It is bizarre. But okay, sorry, I'm back. We'll play the clip now. Sorry, we were right about here.
Malign. The prosecutor standing in front of me right now. So I'm not going to say the possible things that it could be, but it is baffling to me that somebody with the number of years of experience that you have, time after time after time, continues to seemingly purposefully hide the ball to the extent you possibly can for as long as you possibly can. And I really don't want to believe that it is purposeful. But honestly, after a certain number of times, you start to wonder how it could be anything but that, unless it is just that you are so unorganized that you are throwing this case together as you try it.
Whoa.
Oh, even her court
And
reporter was
sorry
like,
to say
burn.
that. But this case is being made much more difficult for everybody because of the haphazard way in which it is being presented. I'm going to take a recess for a few minutes.
I'm out of here.
I'll have
She's
a
like,
little
where
wine.
is my damn emotional support dog? I'm feeling the other guys.
She's like, I cannot deal with this anymore. Unfortunately, though, as great as that reaction was, she didn't do anything about it. What she should have done was called a mistrial. Just that's the punishment.
Yes.
See, this is the thing. That is supposed to be the punishment for prosecution behaving in the way that this woman has behaved. But just like all the other judges we've watched, they just don't. The only one who did the right thing was the Alec Baldwin judge. She was like, well, you know, when you withhold Brady evidence, guess what? Mistrial. See ya. And with that, you know, with prejudice, you can't even bring it back because what you've done is totally wrong. And unfortunately, nothing happened in this case. If you want to follow the Young Thug trial, I know that Nick Starro is covering it. You can go see it there. I have redirected you guys over to Broken Baker. He's got a new trial.
Oh, yeah, he does.
That he is covering. And so you're going to go watch that with him right now. Please tell him that I said hello. I think I missed one super chat. Caroline B, thanks for the super chat. Says, Megan, how dare you have an opinion, voice, and a passion? No hair talk ever again. Never write to pass knowledge on to others who need help. We love you as much as Jeff. Oh, thank you so much. I love you too. Thank you so much for your support, chat. I love you guys, and you guys have been wonderful to me. Thank you, Mo, for taking over the stream while my computer acted bizarre. And you guys
I have enough recovering Catholic guilt that I was like, what did I do wrong?
Nothing you do is wrong. You are wonderful, and we love you here. So make sure you
Aw.
go over and subscribe to Mo. She is amazing. We're going to have to do one of those Maya Kowalski transcripts again. We have to finish that. We have to do I think we're on part 3. We have to finish. I have to go back and see where we were, and we'll put together.
I remember.
I know, I don't remember either. I'll have to go back and watch the last one. So you guys take care. Make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel and Mo's, and be back here tonight at 8 p.m. for Tuesdays with Tug. We're going to go over some more filings in the What the Hales case, and we'll see you then. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Lost, my world is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. Oh, and my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. Say goodbye. time, I know my road is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices, and my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna stay. No, I don't wanna say goodbye.
So I take it that
Johnny's
you've seen
problem is he
Cameron
should have
John's
come
bedroom
storming
before.
in there with
Yeah.
a string of
Do you
garlic
recall what
and
he
some
went
holy
into,
water.
Mr. Judson,
And a
as
cross,
far as
a
bedroom
crucifix
goes?
one.
May the
Do you
power of
recall,
Christ
or no,
compel you.
No, I don't.
He
Sure,
realized
Miss
his house
Hubbard,
was infested with
just up for
succubuses.
that,
And
there's a picture up here with you of what it, yes. Do you recall whether it was there when you arrived in the afternoon? I don't remember seeing it now. So while she
No wonder he said drown her before you burn her.
oh my God.
You-
Your next witness?
Now I know
Witness
why you wanted to drown her.
Laces, and that
Next
is
witness
also
lives in
by
Romania.
video.
Is that correct?
That begins with Miss Vaz.